Let him know. I'm talking about you, son.
Let it flow.
You,
man.
son.
Like Tony Braxton said, let it flow.
Let me stop doing that. I hate to see that. When I look at Mama, go ahead. And I'm gonna bring this up. Go ahead. Are we on? Is this thing on?
Hey man, this thing is on. Hey y'all, what's going on? We are the cool ass nerdy dudes back
we
here
are.
for episode 8.
One more game.
8, man. 8.
great eight.
The great 8. The hateful 8.
No, let's not make it negative. Come on. We
Kinda like
already
that
got
movie.
enough negativity.
Wasn't that a movie?
Yeah, I like
The
that
Hateful
movie.
Eight?
Yeah, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Was it a good movie?
Yeah.
It was actually decent.
You know, I'm a Western guy, man. I like
Yeah,
Western.
man. It was a good old
My
Western.
pops is a Western
Yeah.
guy. He will watch the same Western like 50 times.
Yeah.
But I can't say anything because you know what he does? If I say something like that, like, you watching that again? He'd be like, you watch the Cosby Show all the time. You watch the Cooking Channel all the time. Like, touche.
Hey man, I'm down for a good Western too,
Oh,
though, man. I watch.
I like
Hey
Westerns.
man, I'm stuck.
I like
You know, every time Tombstone come on, I'm gonna watch
Oh,
it.
man, Tombstone.
I'm gonna watch it. I'll be a
Was it
Huckleberry.
Kevin Costner?
No, man. Tombstone is
Kurt
that's
Russell.
Kurt Russell.
Oh, okay.
Played
Kurt
Wyatt
Russell
What was
and
Kevin
Val
Costner's
Kilmer,
Western, if
man.
he had one?
He had a Wyatt Earp movie, too. Kevin
Wyatt Earp,
Costner. He
okay.
did one.
Okay.
Yeah,
But Tombstone.
Tombstone is Val Kilmer.
Val
bro.
Kilmer. He tore it up.
Oh man,
That's
I'm
the
your
guy that just
Huckleberry.
died,
I'll be a
I'll be
Huckleberry.
your Huckleberry.
I'll be a Daisy if you do.
He got the most memorable lines in that movie, man.
Oh man.
Yeah, he was that.
But yeah, man. So today we got a lot to talk about.
We
man.
do. And one thing I wanna say or talk about. We've done 8 shows.
Yes.
Have we looked at have you all looked at yourselves and critiqued yourselves? I have. I really haven't. And
Yeah,
thought
man.
about-
I'm perfect. So
okay.
no, just don't, man.
Yeah, I'm not mad at you.
No,
Because I
bruh.
look
No,
at myself and I be like, like the first show. I think when we did the first show, I looked at it like we gonna go in there like drink champs. That's why I was like, let's drink in here, and I was chewing gum, and I saw it and I hated it. I was like, dang, yeah. Then a few other shows I looked at and I said, you know what I'm doing? I'm over talking these brothers, and I don't like that. I hate that. So I said, let me back off. This is not my show, it's our show. Even though John did approach me, it's not. But no, it's, and I said that. I'm just wondering, have you all looked at do you all critique yourselves, or you just like, F it, I'm great, and go with it?
Nah, I just take the approach that it's a process, man.
No, it
It's a
is.
process, and I don't believe anybody should just pull back from who you are. You know.
Oh, so you just that nigga that
No, I'm just
overtalks
saying
people.
no because because I'm not saying that. But
No,
when
just-
if you pull back from who you really are, then you're gonna be.
but really,
it's
I'm
not
not
gonna be
that
natural
person.
to you. It's not gonna feel right to you.
I got
Just be
you.
who you are.
Man, I'm not that person because I'm like,
hey.
I don't like to overtalk people, and I feel like I want to hear what everybody has to say. Because if I hear what you have to say, then I can
We get it in.
learn. So, like, look in the mirror. I am one that looks in the mirror often. Like, I can do better. I am. Again, my lack of success, I always say, is not due to the obvious. Where we say, oh, it's Dwight, man. I'm like, no, it's me. My lack of success is me.
Man, I'm an artist, and I'm always been on. My whole life has been on stage and been in front of people.
Okay.
So I would be lying if I said I wasn't a critique. My whole life is a critique.
I got you.
So
Okay.
the answer to your question is yes. But do I overly critique what I'm doing here? Not overly, because I critique everything that I do to some degree. So
And I like both your answers. I say that because Kev, like you said, this is definitely be who you are. And what you said, but both of you have been on the main stage or a main stage a lot more than I have. So to me, this is a learning curve. I've never been set. Both of you have been in entertainment in a big way. You winning the Apollo and you being a producer and on and on and on. I was a drummer in a marching band in high school. So, But I did become a drummer actually for some groups
yeah,
right outside of high school, but we weren't on major stages. I think the biggest thing I did was we did the United Negro College Fund. Remember Lou Rawls?
mine is
I was
a
in
terrible
group,
thing to witness.
right. I was in a group called TLC, not that one obviously, but in high school we had a
The
group.
Learning Channel.
We had we had a group called TLC. It was Monye, Chris Berry, a dude named Peebo from MD Collins. It was Lakeshore and MD Collins basically.
Wow.
They were nice, man. It seems like back then, it was Cameo was here in Atlanta. Then you had Princess and Starbreeze, which was Deborah Killings.
Yeah.
She went to Lakeshore. You
Yeah.
know, she's kicked it with TLC and Outkast, and she's still kicking it. And then you had TLC. It was like us. Well, I say us and them because I was a fill-in drummer. Because Reggie Hill was a bad boy. Reggie, if you ever look at our podcast, I'm giving you a shout out. Reggie Hill was their main drummer. And one weekend, he went out of town, and they needed a drummer. And all my boys were in the band. Like I said, Chris Berry was the bass player, and he was nice. He was out of Lakeshore. Monye was our keyboardist. You know Monye.
I do
Engineer,
very well.
producer, Grammy winner.
Yep.
Well, you know Monye. Yeah. And when Kev came to town, and Kev and I met, and Kev was like, I came down here to, make it. That's who I hooked him up. Him and Monye did an album together, actually.
Yep.
Did a CD.
Yep.
Love Monye.
Okay, Monye's good people. A good dude named Peebo could sing. He was the singer. And I think he went to MD Collins. The horn section was basically out of Lakeshore. All of us were in the marching band at Lakeshore together, the horn section. So they called me up, man. Like, Reggie's going to be out of town. And we got 3 big gigs this weekend. Because I was that basement drummer. I was like, my dad bought me a drum set.
Yep.
Dad, mom bought me a drum set. I'm in the basement just kicking it all the time. And they called me and they were like, yo, Chris was like, he can play. And that weekend had 3 gigs. One was the United Negro College Fund. You know how they travel around the
Yes.
United States and show local. They showed us. One was Shea Barnes. I don't know if you know Shea Barnes.
Yep.
Shea Barnes was a part of it too. He his sister's birthday party that weekend, and we had the Piedmont Park had an amateur band day. And so it started off with Piedmont Park that Saturday. We had never played outside. So that we played outside at the amateur band day. Piedmont Park, bands from everywhere. We sucked. It was horrible because we never played outside. We realized that's what it was. It's the difference playing in this room versus outside. We sucked.
It is a difference.
Yes. And we were a good band. The TLC, they were good. They were a crew, man. I was like, wow. So that night, heads down. This was a Saturday. Then that night we had Shay's sister's party, and we were supposed to be the band for her party. We played. We sucked. It was just horrible. And we played for her party, rocked it. And we were thinking like, damn, tomorrow night, which was Sunday, which was United Negro College Fund, this is nationwide.
Yeah.
We're going to be on TV nationwide. And we're thinking, if we suck like that at Piedmont, how are we going to look in front of everybody else? And I don't know how we adjusted. Somebody came to us and said, what it was is you all were too close together outside. You need to be spread apart. And so when we did it, it was, I don't remember the apartments, but they were off Camp Creek. They were popular apartments, but
Club
that's where we were. What Club Candlewood? That's Washington Road. Washington Road in Janice. But it was some big time, wasn't Camelot. Camelot was Old National. But we did it and we rocked it. And we told everybody we're going to be on TV. Because this was, again, nationwide. United Negro College, Lou Rawls. And we, mom's calling all her friends. Steve's going to be on TV. So everybody, the VCRs were popular. We set in the VCRs.
Yes, sir.
We were on for probably 10 seconds. And at the time, we were playing Whip It. Let's whip it, baby. Let's whip it right. We were playing Whip It. They showed us, and it was Joe Washington. He was 11 Alive, Joe Washington, the big time.
Yep.
Yeah. He was the guy they would come to for the local, the Atlanta local, because, it was nationwide.
Yep.
Every time. Everybody watched the Lou Rawls United Negro College Fund, and it was nationwide, and we were on that joint. And a guy approached me that night. He was like, man, this is my card, man. Y'all are nice. Y'all got a manager? And we were like, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know anything about that. I'm in the 10th grade.
That's how it always starts, man. That manager approach you.
Oh, my God, yeah. I'm like, I'm in the 10th grade, dude. I don't know. You need to get to talk to those guys. And after that, for some reason, they broke up, which was weird. Then we started kicking it in my basement. And my boy Chuck's mother, Chuck was one of the horn players. Chuck, what was Chuck's last name? I don't remember Chuck, but him and his brother, we were tight. Chuck, anyway, his mother was like the manager of the band. And they broke up. So we started kicking. A few of us broke off, started playing in my basement. because I was playing in my basement with a guy named Gary Cobb, and he kind of raised me. Because Gary lived in my neighborhood, and Gary was a bassist. He was always when I was little.
So Steve, I want to
My bad.
cut you off for a second. So when you were in high school and you were playing in this band, you had access to instruments because in your high school and in your elementary school and in your middle school or junior high at the time, right? And you had a band program and a music program
Right.
that got you interested in playing music, right?
Right.
So the school was funded for the program.
Right.
You know, I think you might know where I'm going with this.
Forget
going?
what I was going to say after that. But go ahead. I was going to tell you I got to the point of where I was a drummer. But anyway, let's go to the trumper.
No, I'm just
To the trumper. I got you. Go ahead. Let me guess where he's going.
so, and then and then the people that you were playing with, and even the Deborah Killings and the folks that went on.
I didn't play with Deborah Killing.
No,
our group was.
I'm just saying
wanting to be Cameo.
No,
I think Deborah and them wanted to be Cameo. We wanted to be Deborah.
But I'm
go ahead, I got you.
saying, and the people like the Deborah Killings,
Yeah.
and the Monye Crawfords, and
Right.
and the folks they had access to these things, and they went on to do
Right.
these.
That's where we started, in
They
school.
started in the school to
Program,
do
funded
these
programs.
These funded programs to do these bigger things.
Right.
Now you have folks that and I'm not going to start with this administration. It started before this administration. Funding started being cut for these programs more and more. You know, programs started being cut in the elementary schools. So you don't have band programs or music programs.
And that's where I started in elementary
So
school.
the first thing that happened is you don't have major music programs in the elementary schools. And then you started having less of a music program in the middle schools. You don't really have real funded band programs or music programs until the high schools. And so now the high schools are playing catch up, trying to get quality music programs up and coming. And they're not as good. Like a lot of the high schools are not as good as they used to be. When we
Right.
were,
Yeah.
when
you don't
we-
hear about the Southwest DeKalbs anymore. Or the Theros,
Southwest DeKalb is still pretty solid.
but you don't hear about it like you used to.
You don't hear about it like you used to, but they're still pretty solid.
I mean, after Drumline, it seemed like you didn't hear about it anymore.
Yeah.
You heard about them for about another year or so
Yeah,
after that.
but
and then
I mean, but you still have a few programs that are still pretty solid, but it's not like it was, and this is nationwide that it's fallen off like this because you don't have schools that are feeding into this program at a young age because the programs are being the money's being cut off. You still have private schools that are still
Of course.
investing
They're being funded
that are still being investing into it, and you still have public schools that have wonderful booster programs in affluent neighborhoods that are still being funded. So in affluent neighborhoods that, like I said, that have booster programs. Notice I'm saying it twice in case you didn't hear. In case the cheap seats didn't hear me. They are still being funded with these programs, and it's still happening. Now, let's bring it to this administration. In the last couple of days, this administration wants to completely cut off arts funding. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen, through court orders or, if Congress is going to fight it or whatever. But right now, this administration has introduced an executive, order to cut off arts funding across the board. We're talking, whether it's cutting off through the Department of Education or whatever, but they want to cut off arts funding across the board.
Which could be detrimental to a lot of our children.
To a lot of our children. So the arts has kept so many. We talked. I think we closed out our last show talking about
What we can do
do for our children, keeping them off the streets
Right.
and things. Arts programs has kept many a kid from getting in trouble.
No doubt.
That's one thing that we know has kept a lot of kids
And
from
has helped many a kid to grow and become.
to become something else. If nothing else, we know that kids have gone someplace and love to make beats. I mean, even nowadays. I mean, it's
that's
something.
what it is these days,
These days. But I mean, something else. But even learning how to play an instrument more than make beats.
Right.
Things of that nature can literally save somebody's life. The arts fundings can do so much, but they want to completely cut this off. Now, the other side to this, now the same administration wants to add 100% tariff on any film that's made outside of the United States. So you want to cut off arts funding
Within.
but then you want to tax basically anything that's coming into the country. Those two things don't jive.
Make it make sense.
I want to make that make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, Kev, can I'm asking you, Kev, because I mean, you are
More right.
you lean more right, and you have been the person who has been more supporting of this administration. I just want your opinion on this.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about today's the first time I heard about the tariffs and the complete, defunding of the of arts. So I can't really speak on it to that degree, but I just come at it from the standpoint of what I do know to be happening with public broadcasting, NPR, public broadcasting. That sort of back and forth between the conservative side of politics and that particular entity, public broadcasting, NPR, which does include some of the arts and that type of thing. Kennedy Center, I think, is one of those that have been affected by this administration.
Yes.
But from what I understand is that, and what I've observed a lot, is their coverage, their media coverage. This is where where the crux of the matter comes in. The media coverage of NPR, public broadcasting, leans heavily to the left. It ain't even a thing. I mean, actually, one of the guys who was like a 25-year veteran of NPR, he was a whistleblower, and he said that basically everybody in that place is liberal, and it's been very biased in their coverage when it comes to their news arm of those entities. I agree that should be funded, because if you're taxpayer funded, now put the arts aside for a second, because I'm not too keen on that one, but I agree, if you are taxpayer funded as NPR and PBS are, you can't be biased either way.
To go down the middle.
You got to be down the middle. If you can't do it from a commentary standpoint, an opinion standpoint, then just be straight news. Just give the facts and let it roll. But that's where the crux of that's where this sort of feud between the right side of politics and public broadcasting comes from. They're just not. They're very biased in their coverage, and they just don't play it down the middle. And if you're, like I said, if you're taxpayer funded, you got to play it down the middle.
So I can agree that NPR should, as far as news, I think NPR should just put stories out there, or as far as or just the news out there as it happens, not necessarily not putting stuff for the events.
Yeah.
Not even when I say stories, not stories, the events.
Yeah.
They should just present the events.
Right.
And
present
that
the
have
events.
left or right.
Left or right.
But-
And they promote causes that are of the left as well. They promote all the leftist
And
causes.
NPR usually, to me, used to be at least down the middle.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Used to be down the middle.
And I will agree with you that lately NPR has been a little bit more skewed to the left.
Yeah.
As in most of our most of our news.
And I will agree with you on that. But I think rather than defunding it, I think that should be addressed.
Yeah.
The arts, back to the arts.
No, I'm saying, well, even NPR. Rather than defunding NPR, I think that should be addressed.
Yeah.
Instead of saying we're going to pull your funding, and say, hey, we're going to pull your funding if you don't address.
But here's the thing, they won't address. But they had actually a hearing with the CEO of Public Broadcasting, brought into Congress, and they were grilling her like they always do when they bring somebody in, and she was like, I'm not aware of any bias, we play it straight down the middle and this and that, and so when you have that type of denial. You can't negotiate with folks who are always listen. The guy who was there for 25 years said everybody there is liberal. Everybody, all of their reporting is slanted to the left. Everything. So it's going to be hard to negotiate with people who because power. Media comes with power. There's power behind it.
Absolutely.
They ain't gonna let it go.
My question: has this administration done that?
Done what?
What you're saying? Has this administration pulled anybody in?
What do you mean?
Media-wise? I'd say media-wise, no. Within the administration,
Has this administration pulled anybody from NPR to task? No, they've just gone straight to. They've gone straight to see when you're.
But they've had this battle goes on for a long time. Yeah, they have. If you go back, it's been this back and forth, but it's always been. Well, first of all, nobody had the nerve to even touch it, whether it was Bush or any Republican president just didn't have the nerve to do it. And of course, Democrat president wasn't going to touch it at all. This guy's the only guy who said, all right, let's just nip this in the bud. He's the only guy who's going to do that. Now, of course, they're going to be challenged. There's going to be legal challenges and all of that. It's going to happen. Just like all these things happen. It's going to make its way through the court system, and it'll fall where it falls. But I think the talking, these sides are like this, man. There's no talking with these sides. Right. Back in the day, these parties had some overlap, and they could discuss some things. Nowadays, and the media is like, again, that's power to these people. They want to present the news as they want to present it because this is where their power comes from. This is how they win elections. They're not giving up the ghost unless they're forced to give up the ghost. Because if they did, they would have done it already. They would have done it already. It wouldn't have had to take this guy to come in and say, all right, pull the plug on him. Right. So, yeah, I think it's long overdue because media bias is dangerous.
What's long overdue?
Pulling the plug on taxpayer-funded media that's biased.
So
whether it was biased to the right or biased to the left, I'm saying if you're taxpayer-funded, if you're privately funded, do what you want to do.
So this is a little bit off subject from but I'm gonna just say, I'm just gonna put this out there because it's not completely off subject. Okay. Fox News.
Yeah.
Fox News is not taxpayer funded.
No.
However, Fox News is owned by a foreign entity.
Rupert no longer owns it? Rupert no longer owns Fox News?
He's not American.
Okay.
And he's not American. He's not an American citizen.
Rupert Murdoch
is not an American citizen.
Okay, go ahead. Let's see where you're going with this.
He's not.
That's fine. Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead. Where you going with this?
And
I didn't know that, but go ahead. And I didn't know that would really affect what Fox News does. But okay.
Not an American citizen.
Okay.
It has no allegiance to this country.
Okay.
And owns a media outlet that has influence over this country.
Okay. They're right wing, so
it is interesting that you have a media outlet that has interest over this country by somebody who's not a citizen of this country.
Okay, but where were you gonna go with the
that's just my question. That's just an interesting perspective that,
But they're right-leaning American. They're not out there saying we're all about anybody else other than America, but we are right wing America. Just like CNN is true left wing America. So what's the? I mean, that's an offset. It's a balance. So what's the purpose of that? Of bringing that up, I would say.
My because they can choose, they can pick and choose stories based upon an agenda.
And CNN doesn't. And the MSNBC doesn't.
Yeah, they all do.
They all do.
yeah,
No,
You know what? I'm fine with that.
They all do, but you know,
And everybody's going to go with what they're comfortable with.
they all do. But my question is, you know, when you're picking and choosing an agenda, when you don't have, when you have no allegiance to what's going on here, it can be, you know, it can be like you can be a foreign actor. Just a question.
It seems, wow. I mean, there's a lot of places we could go with
yeah,
that.
anything is possible.
I'm just, you know, I'm not.
I think one of the big, you know, because you got the media is one thing, but then you got all these big donors who are behind the scenes. These big guys paying for all these things. You got Soros on the left. You got the right has their billionaires who fund all these things, fund all these movements, getting people elected to local offices.
The Koch brothers.
The Koch brothers.
Oh, yeah.
You got
Major
people,
influence.
and they are big money behind getting not only at the national level, at the local level.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, that's where they start at the local level,
Oh,
state level.
absolutely.
Getting DAs elected, getting all these prosecutors elected that see the world the way they see it.
Right.
And you get all this other stuff that comes with that. Like I just saw a story lately out in Oakland, California. That mayor and the DA of that city, they were backed by that Soros money, got them elected. Left wing, left wing, left wing, left wing. The people of Oakland just got rid of both of them. Got rid of both of them, the mayor and the DA, because they're so far left. They weren't prosecuting criminals. They're all about rehabilitation instead of
my God.
incarceration
And
and all
that's-
that shit. And the people who were suffering were the people of the community, right?
As it always is.
Yeah, and they kicked them out.
As they should have.
And I just saw recently as well, the NAACP of that city finally did the right thing.
What?
Yeah,
The
and they
NAACP?
came out against these both of them and said we need to focus on our communities and crime. The crime is out of hand, and you all have got to go. And they were the driving force behind getting them out of there. And I'm like, that's what the NAACP is supposed to be
The
doing.
liberal
Yeah, it
NAACP
shocked the hell
was
out of me.
behind
Yes.
you getting liberals
Yes.
out of office
Yes.
because they're tired of the
Shocked the hell
nonsense.
out of me.
And that's
Shocked the hell
a
out of me.
whole nother conversation because that's how I feel now about here with and this is kind of on and off the subject. Well, it's on the subject
no.
of that. Police chases. People are up in arms. When there's a police chase, somebody always dies. As we know, that's not the truth. If you knew how often there was a police chase, and how often someone does not die, but it's the liberals, it's the Democrats now crying foul. We need to stop police chases. Georgia State Patrol and Atlanta PD and nobody else should chase. Now, we can't chase unless it's a forcible felony.
Right.
Somebody comes in this house and robs us right then. We call and the police show up and it was a green Datsun B210 and they see it leaving. They can chase. That's a forcible felon. They came in and robbed us. Rape, murder. Some people there, and I won't name, and I'm not in agreement, their department will allow you to chase. If I pull you over for a tag light being out and you take off, they can chase. I disagree with that. I totally do.
Because you got their tag number, you got
Well, not just because of that. It's a tag light.
right. I'm saying right.
It's a tail light. It's a headlight. It's your arrogance. It's your ego that says you just took off from me. And like I said, I don't want to name
I got
the
you.
sheriff's department that allows
I got
that,
you.
but I
got
don't
you.
agree with that.
I got you.
I
because-
can't do that where I work, and I'm cool with that. I don't want to have to chase you and put somebody's life in danger because
Over-
of my ego, because you took off, because I pulled you over because your headlight was out. No, I don't agree with that. Now, I understand if I have happen to have gotten your license, and I run your license, and you come back one for a murder, yeah, I feel I need to get at you. And if somebody dies, no, I'm not in agreement. I hate that somebody dies. An innocent person dies because I'm chasing you or pursuing. Pursuing is the better word to use. But here we are. Here again, it's the Democrats crying foul. And it's like, damn, everything that we can do to combat crime, which is an issue, which is a major issue, it's always the Democrats that want to say let's do something to make it a little less hazardous. I'm not
So here's the thing. What's going on is
here's the thing or a thing.
here. I'm sticking what I said.
Okay.
What I said is what I said.
Oh, well, excuse me. Go ahead. My bad.
So here's the thing. It's because of Instagram and all of these police chases that are making it onto Instagram right now, and people are seeing all this stuff on Instagram right now. Is the reason why everybody's having this opinion on it.
I think it's because it's making the actual news. It's not just Instagram. This is making the news that somebody's actually died. An innocent person has died, and it's just like a police shooting. When one police shooting happens that shouldn't have happened, one out of the thousands, it's that one that we make a big deal out of, and it's the same thing with a police pursuit.
But I'm saying people are getting their news from Instagram.
They are, but this is making actual national news. This is actual making local news. It's not just Instagram.
More people get their news from Instagram than they do from
people do, but this is actual news. This is 11 Alive. This is Atlanta.
More people get their news from social media.
More people get their news from social media, but the Democrats are crying foul now in Atlanta because of what's been going on lately.
And what they've been showing is all of these things with like Georgia State Patrol is going. They're going viral. All these chases are going viral with Georgia State Patrol showing all these pit maneuvers.
That are working.
And cars flying in the air.
That are working.
And folks, dying in these pit maneuvers.
Which is,
and
I don't have a problem with the person they're pursuing meeting their fate because they just robbed somebody, raped somebody, shot somebody, killed somebody.
I'm not justifying. I'm telling you why folks are crying foul. Why you having an increase
because innocent people are dying. Innocent people are dying. That's why they're crying foul. It's not the people that are in the pursuit.
And I'm just saying this is the reason why you're seeing this uptick of people, of this uptick of people, protesting, or this uptick of people, crying foul, is because it is heightened and there is, these videos have gone viral.
Okay, and I guess that's what you're saying. If it wasn't for actually them being able to show a video outside of the news, it wouldn't be as big of a deal.
But the fact that this stuff is going viral and it's happening.
I can agree with that. But it's unfortunate that, again, you look at so many reasons when a Democrat or Republican or whoever loses a race, people say these are the reasons. And you look at the reasons. A lot of people are saying Trump is that guy that's not going to fall for all the transgender rights, the criminals having rights. And here it seems like here we go again. And I just bring up transgender, and fine. I know people are going to come at me because of me mentioning transgender. My problem there real quick is no. I truly believe that whatever you were born as is what you are. It's not a belief. It is what it is. You are what you were born as. And having a daughter, I do have a problem with a man who wants to be a woman going in the same bathroom as my daughter, playing sports against my daughter, because you're a man. You still have testosterone. You still have a whole lot of... Anyway, I say that to say, just like transgender rights, that's one of the reasons of I think the big loss. And the same thing, it goes with crime. Crime is a big thing. It's stereotypically that it appears that the left, is all about let criminals do what they want to do.
Okay, I want to push.
Damn near feeling sorry for the criminal.
So I want to push back on the transgender thing just a little bit. Not against what
what
you're
we're here
saying.
for.
Not against what you're saying.
Okay.
Because I agree with you. Mm-hmm. I agree with you. But where I disagree is I don't think it should be as big a part of the conversation as we're making it. And I mean,
Right.
No, and because I'm talking about on the left and the right. I don't think it should be a big part of the Democratic platform, because I think the Democrats bring it up as a big part of their platform that they support this issue, and it's like this biggest part of their platform. We're for transgender rights. We're for this, and it's like the main part of their platform.
And they think that's,
and they think
like
that's
8 billion,
right, and
8 billion voters
and
are that
and
way.
then and then the Republicans or the conservatives have painted out transgenders to be this huge boogeyman. When we're talking about it's less than 1% of the population,
Right.
less than 1%.
But it's 90% of what we talk about.
Right.
It's less than 1% of the population, and we've let this become this big boogeyman talking point that's got us hugely divided over this whole thing.
I understand that.
And
But
it's-
my fear is if I say I don't agree with a man wanting to be a woman going in the same bathroom as my daughter, it's getting to the point where I'm damn near it appears that they're gonna make a law where I'll go to jail for saying that.
And you could, by the way.
Right.
You could, by the way.
And
That's what I'm talking about.
So I agree with you. I agree with you on that.
Right.
I know that's so.
I'm going-
no,
I
I'm
got you.
agreeing with you on that. What I'm saying is we should not have this whole policy based upon 1%, less than 1%.
They voted one down,
But
actually,
here's-
that was going to have something to do with the prisons here in Georgia, where it was going to affect 5 prisoners. And they were going crazy over it not being enacted into law. And that was, I think, was it CARE or for these particular people that they were transgenders in prison. And it was 5 people that would have affected. And I got to read more. That's why I said
And so-
we got to really go
see-
into research. But it was going to affect them, and they were going to make a law about this that would have only affected 5 people. But like Kev just said, I could have damn near went to jail for what I said because of something like that.
And see, the thing is, you do better to just make a law. You would do better to just making a law to make accommodations for that 1%.
But you can't agree on what that accommodation is. That's the problem. You see, that 1% wouldn't be a problem if they weren't backed by a big political party. They're under the umbrella of a big old political party called the LGBTQ. That is a
But
political party, and
interesting-
that party has co-opted another party. And
Interesting.
when they say we want something,
but here's the
they
thing.
won't. They
What
gonna
party
get
is
you.
that?
Here's
What party is that?
The D party.
But here,
The I party.
so here's the thing. Here's the thing. Interestingly enough, and I'll say this: a lot of the people in the LGBT
TQRSTUVW.
whatever. No,
I got you.
well, I might catch some flack for saying this, whatever.
We all will.
But in a lot of the people in the LGBTQ or whatever
Yeah.
community don't necessarily want the same fight with the transgender
You're
community.
right. You're right about that.
That's a different fight for them.
You're right about that.
So
It's a split.
They're split. So they're like, hey, don't put us in that fight because we're not trying to change our gender. They're saying,
Right.
I say we. I'm not a part of it. Let me be clear.
John!
Let me be clear. I'm heterosexual.
Let's bring it out down.
No, I'm heterosexual, but I'm speaking on their behalf. You know.
All right, I got you.
But they are saying that they don't want to be affiliated with
Yeah.
that. That's not their fight.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, they just had a ruling over in, I think it might have been Ireland, over in the UK, where the Supreme Court over there said they had to actually define what a woman is. They had to define
it's
it.
sad. We can't
saying
even do it
That
Not we, but
right, that a woman is an adult female. They actually had to define it so that they could sort of put an end to this nonsense over
Right.
calling men women. And they didn't take that very well.
the left.
Yeah, they didn't take that. But over here in the United States right now, the Supreme Court is hearing a case right now where the state of Maryland is making it mandatory that they're going to teach this ideology in schools. And here's the kicker. Here's why I went to the Supreme Court. They don't give you an opt-out for your kid. You cannot opt out. You cannot opt out.
Yeah,
that's why I say that's
yeah.
when that 1%. When you have that much power as a 1%, that's a lot of power.
Yeah, and I think-
that ruling is going to come down, in the coming weeks or whatever.
And I think that's crazy. I think I think that's absolute madness.
It's sick.
Because if it wins there, guess what it's going to do?
It's gonna spread.
It's going to
like
spread.
wildfire.
Yeah,
It's gonna spread like
and,
wildfire.
and I think that's absolutely.
And you as a father, and then you
I can't say nothing about
other
my
than take your daughter out of that school
Right.
and put her in a private school or something.
Yeah.
A school of
Well,
your choice.
Actually, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And so I think that's absolute madness. However, I do think that in this country, we do need to be careful on the other side is that I do not think that we should take away transgender rights.
What's the right of a transgender
Right.
that they don't have that we have? What's the right that they don't
Because right now we're getting to the point where we're
So,
allowing
what-
3, 4,
what-
5-year-olds.
No.
We're not allowing them to make the decision.
No,
Because
no,
obviously
no.
their parents are making this
No,
ignorant
and I think
decision.
I think that's dumb as hell.
Sick as hell.
Yeah, I
But
think
go
it's
ahead,
dumb as
yeah.
hell. But what I'm talking about, like, I guess, not so much as rights, hate crimes.
Yeah, I understand that.
So
I
there
understand
are people who have made the decision that they want to be transgender, and then you have somebody else that has made the decision to go and beat their ass because of it.
Yeah, we all agree on that. Yeah, we couldn't. Yeah, that's not.
No.
And there's
But
so and that
Don't
that
send me
happens.
to jail under the same umbrella of a hate crime because I said a man shouldn't go in the same bathroom as my daughter.
No, I feel that
I should not be a criminal.
You should not be a criminal for that.
Because a man should not be playing soccer, softball,
Exactly.
whatever against my daughter.
Exactly.
Because we know he's a man, but they're sick. The left that really pushes this agenda is sick. That's sick. You there's no other way to put it. It's a man.
I've always said that if you really want to be fair about it, then you should have transgender sports.
You should, just like we do the Special Olympics.
You should have, if you want to have a basketball league, then they should have a transgender basketball
Yes.
league. If you want to do the swim team, it should be a transgender
Just like
swim
Special
team.
Olympics, we do it for that. Why can't we? We shouldn't say a child with special needs should get to go up against a Michael Jordan. I mean, come on, that's just I feel horrible for the child with special needs, but they shouldn't get to go up against
or
that.
not necessarily Special Olympics. That's not. I mean, come on.
What?
No, man. Or
what is it?
Paralympics or something else. Or,
It's called
or,
Special
or
Olympics.
something.
No,
not
you took it
necessarily.
wrong. I'm saying just like we have Special Olympics, we should have special.
I would just say,
transgender. What did I just miss there?
I would just say you have not
Transgender league.
not necessarily special.
Special Olympics is a different league.
I would just call it just a difference. You have
Category.
male sports, female sports,
Tell me what
transgender
I missed.
sports.
Tell me what I just missed. It's just like you're saying. We're saying if you have special needs, it's
I
unfair
would-
for you to have to go up against someone who doesn't
would-
have those ailments.
I wouldn't call it, but because they may not consider it an ailment.
Being transgender.
They may not consider.
I understand that.
So-
but it took something like that to make a Special Olympics for someone with
But what I'm
special needs.
What I'm saying is, someone who is transgender,
They don't consider it.
they don't consider it an ailment.
Okay, I got you.
That's
I got you.
That's what I'm saying. So that's why you saying Special Olympics could be considered insulting to them.
Okay. Okay.
Just
And me saying it, yeah, it could be insulting, and it is insulting because I feel that it is a mental illness.
you feel that it's a mental illness.
When no, I feel like it's a mental illness when you have, I guess, when I say a parent of a 3, 4, 5-year-old.
Yes. A parent
saying,
making yes.
I think my child is transgender. I think that parent
Is mentally ill.
Right. So let's.
I'm
get it
agreeing with
right.
you on that. The parent.
is
I
what
think the
mean.
parent is mentally ill. Yes. Yes.
Taking it to that
But-
level.
but-
if you've gotten to the point you're 18, 19, 20 and you say, I feel like I need to be a man. You're a woman. I want to be a man, or vice versa.
And you-
But still, I still don't feel that they should be. I still feel you're what you were when you were born. But
It's
if we're
not-
talking sports, or we're talking about anything
It's
else,
not my position to say that you're mentally ill.
No, I just said.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the parents
Right.
of those 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old, 10-year-old,
Right.
12-year-olds.
Correct.
That to
child.
me-
Let's just say child.
Yeah,
Let's
yes.
just say child.
Again, yeah. Once you reach a certain age, you do what you want to do.
What I'm
but
ta-
don't get mad
yeah.
at me for saying science says that you are blah blah blah. That's just science. That's how I look at it. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. But I understand. It's going to be a debate forever now.
It's gonna be a
'cause
debate.
It's growing,
And it
But-
shouldn't have, because ever since we've been alive, there's always been that group of people who wanted to have this thing about themselves.
There's always been
There's
that
always
group of
been that
people,
group of
and
people.
then there's that less than 1% of people
Right.
that were born hermaphrodite.
But what happened is somebody along the way said, "Let's take this mainstream. Let's blow it up. Let's inject it into our society." Starting with where? Starting where? With the kids.
And
Kindergarten.
then there's that percentage of people who are born a woman or a man with more testosterone or more estrogen, an imbalance in hormone, but they are born one way or another.
Yeah, but they either
But-
they
but no,
can
I'm
either
just-
give birth or not.
But
They either man
no,
or
I'm
woman.
not saying.
Yeah.
I'm not defending one or another. I'm
Right.
just saying what I'm
Right.
because
I got
I'm trust me, I'm agreeing
got
with
you.
you guys.
I got you.
It's all good.
I'm agreeing with you guys. What I'm
It's
but
sad
what
that
I'm-
we got to walk on eggshells. And this
But,
show,
no.
we first started this show. We say we putting it out there. We going.
we're still putting it out there, but I'm just.
had to walk on eggshells.
But I'm
Say it
not.
Like it is.
No, I'm not
If
walking
this is
on.
the last show, then so be no.
No, I'm not walking on
I feel you.
eggshells. What I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to be
Don't
honest.
be politically correct.
No, I'm trying to be honest with how I feel about the situation.
Okay,
Because I'm a respecter of people.
no doubt.
I'm a respecter of people.
No doubt.
I feel the way I feel, but I also respect people.
Right.
Like I feel like a man is a man and a woman is a woman, but I also respect people.
If you decide you want to be whatever.
Yeah, yeah, but I need you to
I
also.
have a transgender
Yeah.
friend. I would like to get
Yeah,
him on the show, but
but I also need you to also
discuss it.
But I also need you to respect my space.
There you go.
At the same time.
And that goes back to what I said earlier.
Yeah.
We should not be criminalized.
Exactly.
Right.
We should not be criminalized for this. And I'm like,
That's
good.
that's where I am on this.
And that's where the problem came in. Because again, so the whole push to inject this into every aspect of society is where we came to a crossroads. Because
Yeah.
it wasn't a problem back in the day. We all knew who was who. We had no
Right.
problem with it. Let bygones. People had their spaces, but now somebody said, even with the drag queens, bringing the drag queens into the mix.
It's a kindergarten.
That part.
reading.
I'm like,
bringing the
our
drag.
I'm like,
students.
everybody knew where. If you was in that type of space, you knew where to go. But somebody said, let's go mainstream. Let's
So-
bring it into the schools and have them. Like, who said that? And
So-
then they get and then they feel some type of way when parents push back on that. Like, oh, you're a bigot. You're a fool.
Right.
You're a this. No,
Right.
this ain't the space for that. This is school.
Right.
We this is education here. This ain't indoctrination.
So,
Exactly.
so Kev, let me toss this question out to you and you, Steve. This is something. That I saw the other day on. I was watching. I don't know if I was watching 60 Minutes or 2020 or I don't know. It was something. It was some documentary or television magazine or documentary, and they were discussing some book in some school system that was, being introduced that parents didn't want to have introduced in the school system, that was talking about same-sex marriages or whatever. And at first I'm sitting up here like, my first thought was, hell no, I don't want my kid to have that book in the in the library either, for this elementary school. That's my first thought.
Okay.
It's still my primary thought. Somebody on this documentary brought up a valid argument against what I said. My thought.
Okay.
It hasn't changed my mind, but it is a valid counterpoint. They are a same-sex couple that has a kid at that school that is a part of that community. And that kid is at that school, and they are very active, in the PTA and all of that. And they don't want their kid to feel like their parents are to be ostracized, or looked at crazy because they got two moms. And they want to, their kid, that they want it to feel like, that they're, to be, they have to have some level of understanding from their classmates that this is a part of life.
My daughter is facing that at her school, and I think I wish we could have, and I know we can, this is our show, we could have them on the show, but it goes to show the love of children, their genuine hearts as coming up, because she doesn't have a problem with her friend who has two moms. And
my son, and my son is dealing with that at his school as well.
I'm sure it's prevalent now.
Yeah, it's prevalent.
But it's
weird, and so it's weird.
Yeah,
it's a weird, because it's not a dynamic.
We have to talk about it to our children about a lot more earlier than
so
we
it's
do.
not a dynamic that we grew up with,
right?
And so
if we heard about it, it was truly taboo.
Oh man, it was some crazy.
Truly taboo.
Man, it was some crazy
shit.
Heard
about
let's
it.
Just, let's just. I'm gonna say it the way it was some crazy shit. if that happened, because I grew up in the 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
If that shit was that happening, what the fuck?
You're right.
I mean, that's gonna be. I mean, let's just call it what it is. Right. That would have been the response.
No doubt.
That's
no
just,
doubt. You did not see it like you see it now. And it's, no, you didn't. You didn't. And if you heard about it, like, what? Oh my God. They are what?
God dang.
Yo. But our parents didn't have to talk about it. I didn't. We had to really learn about that ourselves, because our parents didn't have to talk about us about this kind of stuff, because it really wasn't.
And so,
but yeah, my daughter, she sees that at her school.
And so the question is this book indoctrination, or is it a way of helping the parents to have that conversation? I didn't think about it that way. I don't like it.
It's a slippery slope.
You see my point? I see
your point.
I don't like it.
But you know what's going to be but you know what's going to be presented to you? That part where you have
I think it's some bullshit.
You know what's not going to be presented? You know what book won't be presented to you? The one that shows graphics on having oral sex between kids. They ain't going to show you that book. It's out there too in the library. They ain't gonna show you that one. They gonna show you the one that you be like, man, but they won't show you that explicit one with pictures and everything. Then you'll be like, hell no. They ain't gonna show you that one. And it's a slippery slope, and that's why you have to understand. Again, they have a case in the Supreme Court right now to where it's mandatory. You can't opt out as a parent. That's the slippery slope. You see, they don't know how to. They don't know when to stop. They don't know when to stop. And if you give that inch, another inch. You give that inch. You will wish it was just a mile by the time it's over. You gonna wish it was a mile.
Right.
I mean, no.
Right.
But
this is an attempt at a societal shift, not just a. This is they're trying to change the term pregnant woman to birthing people.
Yeah.
Because
amongst
some people are offended. This is the ultimate.
Yeah, that's some foolishness.
This is not just a plaything. This is societal changing here.
Yeah, and I've seen
this is societal changing
at the job. I agree with you, and it's crazy as hell. But in the job, and I'm gonna be quiet because I told you I don't like over talking people.
No, that's funny.
But just in law enforcement, man, we're getting complaints. You call me a ma'am. You call me a sir. On your driver's license, it states this. That's okay. We're getting complaints. So far, so good. But what happens when it gets to, like what Kevin says, when it gets to that point where I'm basically going to get written up or possibly fired for calling you ma'am, sir, blah, blah, blah. Trying to be respectful. Because as we know in law enforcement, if I come to you, the reason I pulled you over, blah, blah, blah. But now we're like, okay, we're pulling back from that. But now I'm coming to you, how you doing, sir? How you doing, ma'am? The reason I pulled you over, that's how we're supposed to do it, right? Because we're known for obviously just shooting and killing and maiming. Now we come at you respectfully, but now we're wrong because we've called you, in your opinion, the wrong gender or the wrong, what's it called? Is it surname? Is it not surname?
Pronoun.
Pronoun. Yeah. So we can't. That's not just in law enforcement. We can't win. We're not winning as a society because this is like you said. This is 1%.
Yeah, the whole thing is like, well, my pronoun.
Man, come on, dude. I'm gonna get in
my
trouble
pronouns
for
are
that
him.
now?
My pronouns are him and her, or her, him, or he.
Yes.
Yeah.
Know that I am a heterosexual male.
But yeah,
Never thought anything else. Never.
That's
Jeez.
my pronouns are this. That's whatever.
It's sick out here, man. It is sick, and you're so,
And
so
that
confused,
will become
man.
normal. And
Yes.
you wish it was just a
It's
lie
normal,
before it's over
but it's
with.
confusing.
Right.
You will walk around
You
here
go-
on eggshells.
And I'm sorry, man. If you call yourself they, that's the craziest.
That's a mental illness, man.
That right there is mentally ill.
Yes.
And you know reason why I say that, and I'm saying that, and I'm saying that,
Say it.
and I'm saying that on
Say it,
business.
son.
The reason why I saying you call yourself they refers to plural.
Basically, yes, not basically. Yes, that's it.
They
That's
refers
sick,
to
man.
plural, so that means you are referring to yourself as more than one person.
That's what I'm saying.
That
man.
means you are schizophrenic, which means you are crazy.
Yeah.
Call it what it is.
You know,
son.
there's a group
So that right there means you are mentally ill. And I'm not going to defend that.
Don't
You
back
can be
down,
transgender, but if you are
you
they,
ain't
then you crazy.
Unless you got a twin or a triplet, and all y'all standing there.
And unless your name is Smoke and Stack, you have to see Sinners to catch that.
You know, there's a group of people out there who call when they have babies, they call them babies.
No, I
I'm serious. I'm dead serious.
My
Get the
God.
hell out of
They
here,
call
man.
them babies.
Done, man.
They
I'm
don't-
done.
And they say
Man,
they're
whatever.
gonna let the baby
Done.
grow up to decide which way they're going. But they call them babies.
Who was that said that they got offended? Come back, Nicky. Come back.
I told you, John.
Don't cut the show, baby. And we need to talk about it. Don't cut the show.
I
dog.
told you, John.
What?
You don't give an inch, man.
It's getting worse. It's getting. Who was that?
What?
It wasn't one of you that told me that somebody.
Bruh,
Somebody had a
you know what? I quit.
dog.
Man,
Go check it. Go check me out. Go fact check
Ain't no-
it. Go
Somebody
fact check
said
me.
they got a questionnaire
man,
when they had a baby.
I quit.
That wasn't you all that we were talking about. They said that somebody had a baby, and in the hospital they gave them a questionnaire. Do you want your child to be called they, them, or bisexual?
Yeah, I'm
or
sure they
what
do.
You talking to me?
I don't know, but I'm sure they do.
They have a questionnaire now, John. Kev, it's a questionnaire.
I've checked
now,
out, man.
I don't know if it's all the hospitals,
I checked out.
but
man.
this was somebody of
You
high intellect and high
I checked out,
respect.
man. You
That
said-
they were like, there's a questionnaire, dude. Maybe I can look that up too.
Hey,
Is there
I'm
a
telling you,
questionnaire?
it's serious, man. Get the fuck. I'm telling you, John. I'm telling you, man.
Babies?
Babies, bruh. Like I said, you wish it was just gonna be a mile. I'm telling you, dog.
God,
I'm moving to Colombia, man.
Hey, you know what's coming next? Birth certificate's gonna be a thing of the past.
Oh,
No more birth certificates.
they already said they're changing. They
No more
already
birth
said they're
certificates.
changing those.
No more
Now
birth certificates.
changing them. You could have been here 10 years and they said, we want to change that. You were born a male, female, but now you want to be a male? We're going to change it on your birth
Yep,
certificate.
all the way back.
Man.
Because listen, they say doctors
So-
guess when babies are born. They say they just take a guess. That's what these people think, folks. The baby folks.
So listen. So last year I went to we took my family to Europe, and so I was over in Europe, and we were in France, and we were you know, a lot of times, and a lot of times, you know, you have bathrooms that are, you know, in certain restaurants, that you know, they're unisex bathrooms.
Yeah.
In places, you know, you just close the door. You know, you just whatever bathroom you go to, you just close the door, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's not, you know, it's not like anybody can just go. You know, they're private, but you just close the door.
Right.
You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. But then you have some bathrooms that, you know, male, female.
Yeah.
So because they're, you know, communal areas or whatever with, you know, stalls or
Right.
whatever, urinals and stuff.
Right.
So I think it was one of my, either my wife or either one of my boys or somebody was about to walk into the. We were in France. Was about to walk into the wrong one by mistake or whatever. One of my family was about to walk into the wrong one, and let me tell you, in France they don't play that shit. No, 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 no. This was the waiter was like, no, 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 no. They were like, none of that shit over here. None of whatever y'all doing in America, we ain't doing this shit over here. Man, it was so refreshing. I was so appreciative of that, man.
Wow.
I was like, all right, I see what y'all are doing over here, man.
That's good.
But
That's
yeah,
good.
Europe is really taking a step
They-
that the United States hasn't, because
they're not playing.
yeah,
that
because,
either.
because Europe nipped it in the bud with transitioning kids. They nipped it in the bud.
Yeah, they are not. They are
They nipped it in the bud.
playing. They are not.
Why
playing.
are we so into just the melting
Man.
Far
pot
left,
of everything?
Far left.
They are not playing. Like, and Europe is pretty. You know, Europe is pretty open about
Yeah,
a lot of
exactly.
stuff, man.
Even they came to this.
They are open. Europe is open minded
But
about a
not
lot
that.
of stuff. To bring it back, you know, back to where we started this whole thing with the arts. Europe is leading the charge on movies, the arts, supporting everything, all of the movies. You know, Marvel has moved their headquarters.
That's why your boy is like, well, if you bring it in, he back into America from
So
there.
Marvel
it's
has
100% terrible.
Marvel has moved their headquarters to London
Okay.
because they have invested all the actors and all the all the jazz artists are coming out of London right now.
Yeah, UK.
UK.
Yeah, killing it. They've
Oh,
been coming out. They've been killing
yeah,
it.
and they've been killing.
Omar and
But all of the
that
actors,
loose ends.
but all of the
back in
dope.
day,
If you watch Netflix right now, where are all the actors coming out of? All the
Britain.
You know why? Because ain't nobody studying acting over here. Just working.
Well, yeah, there's no work over here for actors anymore. There's no work because everything's got to be politically correct. Actors are like, my art is not being my art. I can't truly act and be who I want to be because it has to be politically correct. Now, all of our films are political. That's not good. No good movies are coming out lately. I know y'all gonna say
Yeah.
Sinners. I hadn't seen Sinners, but
Sinners
this
is
what
awesome.
they're doing. Okay,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
no
I haven't
good
seen it
movies. Rarely. Back in the day, it was just like looking at you're waiting for this artist. You couldn't wait for Sting, Public Enemy,
Yep.
Prince, whoever to come out with a new album.
Yep, but-
now you know it's got to be politically correct. So well, we don't have those artists anymore. We still have them, but they're
Yeah,
not
but-
putting out things anyway. Yeah, it's got to be politically correct. So yeah,
But
you
yeah.
want to go somewhere where I can truly act and be who I am, and that used to be Broadway.
Yeah.
That used to be Broadway. I can go before you even became the big time actor, and even big time actors would still go back to Broadway to hone their skill.
Yep.
But now it's so politically correct. We're not getting that anymore. We're
And-
not going to get it.
Yes, everybody.
And-
Not in America.
Comedians, even comedy.
Yes, and Dave Chappelle, people like that, or
But-
Chris Rock are the only ones that still not scared to say we're going to do
so
it.
what's going on? They are, so they're winning. So they're winning on that front.
Mm-hmm.
They're winning on these other fronts, and they are, and then like you said, they are conservative on these other fronts.
Mm-hmm.
So they're liberal on this side, they're conservative on this side, which means that they're balanced.
Okay. Well, speaking of, I'm going to say two things here. Two things. One thing, let me read this right quick. I was talking about the hospitals. And my question I asked was, is there a questionnaire in the hospital when your child is born as to their sex? And AI comes with, yes, hospitals typically have a questionnaire, which we know that's is your child male or female, but it goes on to say, or section on birth. Wait, yes, hospitals typically have a questionnaire or section on birth records to record the sex assigned at birth, which is based on the baby's genitalia. This is a standard procedure for creating birth certificates and maintaining patient records. Now, while some hospitals in New Jersey are also collecting data on gender identity and sexual orientation, this is a more recent development and not universally implemented. But like Kev said, it's coming. You know, that's sick now. And that's one thing I want to say. The other thing is going back to what I originally said, because I know if you speak of Democrat, Republican, people want to come to you with, oh, why do you always bring that up? And I was bringing that up as far as crime is concerned. If we get to the point, and that's where Democrats are crying right now in Georgia about the police pursuits. If we get to that point where we can't pursue anymore, period, it's going to get so bad where if someone robs you, me, this is me, and I say, there they go, in that whatever car, they're going to say, okay, there they go. You're not going to chase them? That's them. That's who just robbed me. That's who just beat my ass. That's who just whatever. No, we can't. That's how bad we're getting, and that's where I really, one of the things I disagree with the left so much is they are so much. It seems like the further we make it into getting crime to a point where we don't have to worry about all the nonsense we have to worry about here, they always push back on any strides that we make towards getting it. If they don't push back, then they say, okay, well, our liberal judges are doing what?
So
slapping you on the wrist. And that's what it's going to get to, John. It's going to get to that point, man. It's going to be like, all right, they can't pursue, so there they go. Just let them go. It's okay. We'll catch them eventually. If we catch them eventually, you're not going to give them any time. That's why they're doing it over and over and over and over again. And you look at your left-run cities, those are the ones that have the major crime. But if you look at the right-wing cities or states, they don't have the crimes, then we want to yell racism there. Well, I mean, come on, man. It's like you can't have it both ways. You cannot have it both ways. Look at Southwest Atlanta. Look at Memphis. Look at New Orleans. Look at Detroit. Look at Chicago. We go on and on and on and on. And you can best believe the areas that are run by the left are the areas that have the highest crime rates. And this is why. It's like, why can't we come to the realization that we don't want crime? I don't want it. I don't want to get robbed.
So that brings me
shot.
So that brings me to our point, man. We got to wrap this up.
Okay.
But that brings me to where we want to do. So next week, I want to talk about something that's very near and dear to me.
Uh-oh.
I want to talk about Cop City.
Cop City. That's controversial in the news.
It's hell.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Cop City.
Okay. Let's talk about Cop City.
And let's talk about, because it's been in the news and it's made the national news.
Yeah. I got people in my neighborhood stop Cop City. I'm like,
and most people don't have a clue as to what Cop City is all about, because folks have been saying stop Cop City because folks are all up in arms because they think it's about one thing when it's really about something else. It's about,
like you said, we'll talk.
And so let's see if we can have a real conversation about Cop City. And I'm going to see if we can bring somebody on board to talk about it. Okay. See, I don't know if we can, but let's see if we can try to get somebody who's affiliated with Cop City.
Curry. I'll see if Curry is again. If not,
because
he's retired APD.
Who's somebody who's involved with it, and see if we can get somebody. Maybe we can get somebody from the city of Atlanta on board to come and talk about it as well. I'll see. Okay. But even still, I have enough research on it too. But we'll talk about it and see if we can give an unbiased report on Cop City.
Cool.
Word up.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Yes, sir.
Hey, hope y'all enjoyed this show. We've been all over the place, man. But I'm gonna tell you, man, y'all messed me up on that they be bush. Man, I'm done, man.
Trying to tell you,
This
man.
right,
Trying
that
to
right
warn
there,
you.
man. I'm about to.
Trying to warn you.
Well, again, that amongst other things that we're not going to be able to do in the future or going to be able to do, let's stop with the nonsense.
You got to nip it in the bud, y'all.
I quit.